Hello, you guys. Welcome back to Pro Caffeinate with Books. Today, we are heading off to a very new book fair that has been going on in my local city, and it's the Thai National Book Fair. So, I really don't have a lot of expectations when it comes to English books that I'm going to find out there, but I'm keeping my fingers crossed and hoping I find some rare books or, for the very least, some interesting titles that I don't usually plan to read, and let's see how it goes. And I want you guys to join me on it. A few things that I actually found in here this time around was that it wasn't so much busy. That could be because I went on a Monday evening rather than going on weekends, which would probably lead to less chaotic situations. And it was pretty good. It wasn't a lot of busy, I would say. And I did manage to find a couple of places where they were selling a mixture of English books and Thai books. There weren't any stores that were solely dedicated to English books, so that was a con. But other than that, I'm glad that I came here to explore. There are so many different related to books too, such as diaries, different kind of metallic bookmarks, and other postmarks, paintings, and so many other things that are basically related to books. And then there are different types of stores in here. Few of them are pretty standard stores, which I don't really get the lure of, considering that I'm in a fair. So I'm obviously looking out for some unique pieces or, for the very least, types of certain discounts. Though there were certain stalls that were having heavily discounted sales and particular items, but I did find most of those items were not really in a good shape, which was a bit turn off. But then again, you have to really dig hard and go for the treasure hunt. So here's everything that I got recently, and I'll get to it one by one. Let's start off with something that I got from Asia Books. This was a book that I've been seeing on Bookstagram for quite some time, and I decided to finally give this a go because the author is actually one of my favorites, and I've read her writing before, and I think she writes really beautifully. She has the capacity to make people cry by reading her books, and that's why I got this one. So let's do the honors and open the packaging, which I think is the best part about books. And I don't know why they wrap it in this way and then put the sticker on top of this in here. Could be to protect the books, and it's really satisfying. It doesn't exactly smell fresh. I would say this copy could be a little old, but it's definitely not used, considering the binding has no spaces and it hasn't been even opened. Story of this one is basically situated after the 9/11 attack, when a majority of the Muslims were painted in the same color, and this main protagonist in here is facing certain difficulties because of that single monotone picture that they have painted. The next book was from the Odeon store, and this was actually a rare copy, at least in my point of view. Not exactly rare, but then again, you don't really come across this book for a very long time. Now, the book is Pilpay's Fables by Sir Richard Burton, and it says something in here, so I'm just going to read that out to you. Burton's long forgotten first translation, written in 1847 and never before published. The first new publication of an original work by Sir Richard Francis Burton in over 100 years. And then I obviously had to look it up online to check the authenticity of this book, and it was 100% authentic. I think on Amazon US it's around $44, which is a lot for a book. Plus, this book is quite illustrated well inside, if I talk about the pictorial representations, and even the page quality, if I talk about, it's quite glossy and thick, and it's definitely something that you would love to have in your collection. This is how the inner cover appears to be, with a plain spine binding and just the illustration in there. Keeping the beauty of this book aside, I'm really excited to see how the stories inside turn out. A lot of them have been inspired from the Indian heritage, so I'm really hoping to check how they turn out. Now, I really have to say that the next bookstore that I went to was very tricky, and they had their pricing strategy bang on, and they were not even invigilating who is interested in what books to, make sales or something. They were just sitting there, ideally working on their phones, doing something of thought, but they were least bothered if a customer is really interested to buy a book. I had to call them out twice because I wanted to make a purchase. Other than that, I would have simply went off the store because they were not really giving a shit. Anyways, here's what I got from them. Let's talk more about why I thought that they're really tricksy while opening the book, because they placed all their most discounted books on the bottom shelf and the least discounted books, irrespective of their actual price tags, be it 250, 300, 500, whatsoever, they were placed at the top. So you would end up looking at those books first, and because you are looking at so many books across so many different stores, you will end up skipping the bottom ones. Pretty sure of that. And this was at the bottom-most shelf, almost to the floor level. Before I even talk about the beauty of this book, let's appreciate for once the sprayed edges, the amazing hardcovers, and the inner covers too that we have got with the books. This is, of course, a slide off that I think comes out. It should. It does come out, and this is the actual cover, and this is the back cover. This book is actually a biography of Alan Moore, and he has written some really wonderful books out there that many people are a fan of. So what I'm doing these days is, instead of reading a lot of the works of the author, I am instead opting out to go and read their overall adventures of writing, just to understand what really goes on behind the works of writing. And that's why I'm reading a lot of memoirs these days based on writers. And I think these were the only three books that actually captured my mind, and they are pretty heavy, mind I tell you. And that's what I basically got this time around. Number one, number two, number three. But I do have few other things that I wanted to share with you guys, so I think you should stay tuned for that. A few days back, I got the opportunity to visit the Comic Con, which was organized in here in Siam Paragon, and it was really wonderful to check out, and I thought you would be interested to see that as well. Now, while there were several things that were catching my eye, but one thing absolutely drove me mad like crazy, like, oh my god, what am I seeing? And that was the Harry Potter store. There was a literal Professor Snape in there who was really fascinating. He also took the right accent to talk to us in the same manner with deep voice, and they also had the talking hat, I mean the sorting hat, that actually sorts you into different houses. So I obviously had to try this, and they basically had all the wands and everything else that's basically listed here. You can get, and they are the official distributors for the Noble collection, and their name is Neverland Toys and Collection. And it was really a beautiful experience, I would say, that I've never really had before, especially with the sorting hat and getting to talk to characters in real life. I mean, it was a really well prepared draft out there, whereas the others were simply exhibitions. This was more of an experience. Now, I really hope that you had fun watching this video and coming along with me to different exploratory places, which were quite eventful, I would say, for the very least. Let me know in the comments down below, how did you find these places, and was there something that really caught your eye, and are you looking forward to read any of these books, or if you have already read them, let me know what are your thoughts on it in the comments down below. I'll catch up with you next time in my next video. Until then, keep your coffee strong and your TBRs long. Goodbye.